now for some good news. Hot 102.7 FM has received top honors at the New York Festival's Radio Awards. The station won a bronze award in the news documentary category and was a finalist in the human interest feature category. Now, these achievements have solidified the station's reputation on the global stage. To discuss this exciting news further, we are now joined by Lloyd Madurai, the Managing Director of Hot 102.7 FM. Lloyd, good morning to you and congratulations.
Good morning, Jenna-Leigh, and thank you for helping me on eNCAnews this morning. Thank you very much. We are thrilled. This is actually our third win for 3 consecutive years. We've had 13 nominations over the 3 years and 9 wins. And this year, as you mentioned, we've had 2 awards in the news category, one for Derailed and one for Blind Spot. And in fact, this year we made it into the film and TV section as well. Wow. With our Hot Cares Christmas initiative that we do every year.
What does it mean for a South African radio station to be recognized on a platform such as this? What does it say about the quality of our broadcasting?
Generally, when we put Hot 102.7 together a couple of years ago, we said that we wanted to be world class. We wanted to be amongst the best in the world. Now, the New York Festival's Radio Awards have been running since 1957. So it would be 68 years, and what it does is that it recognizes content throughout the world. It started initially on the radio side and then developed into programming and then obviously TV over the years. And what's it shown is that South African radio is on a global platform. South African radio is getting better and better, and the judging is from around the world. So it's wonderful to see that the work that we're putting out there has been recognized worldwide, and we're absolutely thrilled by what we're putting out. And we believe that if it's not world-class, we don't put it out at all. And I'm so glad to see that we've been acknowledged.
We'll talk about the future of radio in a moment, but I want to talk about those features, your award-winning features. It focused on mental health,
yes, it did,
but also failing infrastructure. I'm wondering what that says about the kind of storytelling that resonates globally.
We wanted to tell key South African stories. And one of the things that we looked at initially was the story on Derailed, and we felt that not a lot of work was being done around the mental health awareness side of it. And we decided to cover that, and it was our head of news, Tara Penny, who indicated this would be a wonderful story to do, and she covered it over a period of a few weeks on air, and we ran it as a series. And what we got out of it was absolutely phenomenal, the impact it had on various people in various sectors. People who you look at every day and you think, there's no problem, this person just carries on, until you actually dig in deep and realize this is just a facade. And we're dealing with these issues on a daily basis, and some of it isn't being recognized.
Let's talk about the future of radio. I remember many years ago, they already said radio is dying, and it's dying soon. Some of us were fighting, saying radio will never die. Now we've got podcasts in the play as well, because a lot of people listen to podcasts in their cars, which is where a lot of people consume radio. What do you make of the future of radio? How are you staying relevant, making sure that you stay profitable as well in this climate?
You know, this has been going on since, I think, the 1980s, where it was, well, radio's dying because we've got CDs in. And then it was, we've got MP3s in, and it was, no, there's online radio. But I believe that radio is still a one-on-one communication with your best friend. It's real, it's relevant, it's localized, and it's speaking one-on-one. And for me, radio has always been relevant because it always has been a relationship with your best friend, and no one can ever take that away.
I want to ask you about whether radio still sounds the same as it did about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The presenting styles of some of the radio presenters, has that evolved?
Look, I mean, I think it is different from station to station, and there are lots of research that goes into radio. You know, it's just, there's this perception that a presenter just walks in and just throws a couple of songs on the air. It's actually planned, and it's prepped, and it's researched to ensure that we increase that quarter-hour listening pattern to remain relevant to our audience, to ensure that the ratings are always there. You know, from a Hot 102.7 perspective, we always wanted to do professional radio, and it is all about the music, and it is all about the listener. And I don't think the professionalism has changed over the last 20 years. If we look at a station like Hot, a lot of the presenters we have on air have been doing this for at least 3 to 4 decades. And we continue to train people in this industry as well, because we want that relevance and relatability of radio to be there. And as a music station, it's always about the music.
And talking about the talent, are we still seeing a lot of young people interested in the radio industry? Are we still seeing good talent coming forward?
Surprisingly enough, we actually are. We run a radio academy, and we've been doing it now for probably the last, I would say, 10 years. And we've had about 400 students come out of that academy. In fact, Bunny Majaja, who's on our morning show, comes off that radio academy. And one of the things I do ask, and I first say, I have 2 rules in the academy. The first one is never be late to any of the classes, because if you're late to a class, you're probably going to be late to a radio show. And it's always sort of 90% passion and 10% we teach you. And we've seen such a lot of gratitude come out of that. We see a lot of talent coming through that, and I ask the question, I go, if you want to make who wants to make lots of money in radio? And I see hands going up, and I'd go, well, you know, there's the door, you can leave now. And I've always believed, I've always believed, you know, you follow the passion first and the money follows you. And I've been trying to drive that for the last 10 years. And we've seen lots of talent come through. And I believe that radio is thriving. We're seeing an increase in radio audience.
Well, one of the most defining voices in radio has been Darren Scott. Some very heavy news that we received. How would you describe his legacy in the industry?
Darren has been an absolute legend. People grew up with Darren. I'd got to know Darren for probably about 30 years. He was, I think what he will leave is professionalism. He was highly professional at what he did. He was kind, he was generous, he was a humanitarian first and foremost, and just wanted to help everybody. Darren will be remembered, he will be missed for his wit, his talent, and most of all his professionalism that he passed on at the Radio Academy.
His voice will never be silenced.
The voice will never be silenced. He might not be on the air, but his legacy will live on in everything we do.
On a personal note, what has working with him, knowing him, meant for you?
Jenna, as you know, in this industry, we spend so much time together. The people in the radio and the TV industry become your family. Darren, to me, was like a brother. I feel a tremendous loss, sadness, and we've seen this by the outpouring of love for this last week. I mean, you see it on every social media platform, radio, TV. Darren's name has been there, and he's been remembered for his wit, his kindness, his generosity. For me, I will miss somebody who shaped my career as well. Somebody I could always talk to, I could bounce ideas off, and we knew this day was coming. You know, Darren had been suffering with cancer for 38 years, and he had stage 4 melanoma, and all he wanted to do a year ago, he was based in the States, and he said to me, I'm missing radio, and I said, I've got a drive show, do you want to come and do that? And he jumped at it, and he said, we're going to do it like old times. And he said, you know, Lloyd, I'm taking the medication. I think I'm going to be better, but I want to do this until the very end. And we're so glad that he did radio until the very, very end.
Well, thank you for keeping his legacy alive and also generating and nurturing new voices and talent and taking South African radio to the world. I really appreciate your time this morning. That was Lloyd Madurai, founder and managing director of Hot 102.7. It's now 8:29. Thank you for staying with us here on eNCA.